Good afternoon, everybody. I hope people are starting to jump on. We've got a really good guest today in Projul. I'm Stephanie Brown from Intelligent Construction Opportunities. Intelligent Construction Opportunities facilitates these conversations so construction professionals can understand the automations that have been developed to support their projects. And in addition to moderating these live streams, ICO helps the construction industry select their software technologies. I'm really pleased to say today our guest is Nick Bennett. He is Chief Revenue Officer at Projul. Projul has been built for small and medium contractors so they can manage their customers all the way from the sales lead through to project management and right through to invoicing. So welcome, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Stephanie. Appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be with you all today. Like she said, I'm the CRO here at Projul, so I work with construction companies, contractors all day, every day, helping them determine if Projul's a good fit for them and sharing the value that it'll bring. So excited to talk a little bit more about it here.
And what we're going to really get into, what I'm really pleased about with Projul when I first was introduced to this particular company is they have a really good emphasis on the trades. So we were really going to try and peel down to, how does Projul help the roofer? How does Projul help the carpenter? Not just the actual ones on the site, but I'm talking about the owners of these trades. If there's a contractor out there that is a specialty contractor, this is the software, in my opinion, that you should at least consider. So let's get into a little bit about how Projul started and what's it all about. And I know some of the story, but first of all, I want to ask you, what did you have for lunch, sir, today?
Yeah, I'm a Chick-fil-A guy myself, so I already ate my chicken sandwich and my fries because I couldn't wait. But I've got my drink here, and I love me some Chick-fil-A. We've got one right down the road, and it's caused me to gain 100 pounds a day, but I love it. How about you, Stephanie?
Well, I have to say, it's going to sound so boring. I love cottage cheese. It's a secret. But now it's out, and
you should keep that secret, Stephanie.
Yes, but I do, and I particularly like it with fruit. So that was my lunch today. But I have to say, I was telling Nick a story before we went live today that I went out yesterday and a Chick-fil-A's open in my neighborhood, and I had a coupon for a free sandwich. So of course I bought it. I thought I was actually going to make it my lunch today, but so I bought something else. And as I was coming home, it all fell out and blew out of the bag onto the street. So all I was left with was the Chick-fil-A sandwich last night. So that was my dinner last night. So here's a plug for Chick-fil-A. So that's all.
Sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
Sponsored by Chick-fil-A. So, well, I just threw up a banner. If anybody's hopped on the call, what's your favorite lunch to have on the job or at the office? Let us know. I mean, it's kind of cool in a way because I used to be a professional chef for many years. So I ran many kitchens and devised many recipes and built many menus. I'd like to know what people like to eat on the job in particular. Something hearty, I would imagine, something that's really going to fill you up and has some decent carbohydrates in it. So let us know. And from there, I think we're going to, let's get into Projul. Nick, tell us a little bit about how you ended up in Utah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we used to run a construction company. I'm actually repping some merch today from Sound Construction. So we were up in the Seattle, Washington area. And we started out as tile contractors. So we did tile regrouts, tile cleanings, backsplash installations. And then we were growing and scaling pretty fast. So we grew and started doing larger jobs like your bathroom remodels, your kitchen remodels. And we were running the construction company for a while. And we were looking for a software system to help us manage just our team. Because as we were scaling and growing, it got harder to track and make sure everything was still on track. We were hitting profit margins that we wanted to, had a good communication with our team out in the field.
What were you using before you decided to take this on?
Yeah, our owner was a master spreadsheet creator. So we had tons of spreadsheets. We had a big whiteboard on the back wall of the office that had all the jobs and where everybody was working at today. We had our office admin who works here at Projul now. He was in charge of writing and erasing on the whiteboards. And then we ended up trying a whole lot of construction software out on the market, but couldn't really find something specifically geared towards our trade, towards remodelers, towards that residential contractor, specialty contractor that we were. And so we just ended up settling on those paper systems, spreadsheets, and all kinds of stuff like that.
So what was the first project that sort of kicked off the creation of it? And maybe you can share how your owner went about, I'll assume that, they weren't knowing how to code and et cetera. So there had to be some basis for that. Can you share any of that with us?
Yeah, well, we're actually pretty lucky. Our owner at the construction company is our CEO here at Projul, and he was a software developer at one of the tech companies up in Seattle. And then he and his brother started the construction company. So he actually, thankfully, had a lot of coding background. And most of that was in kind of spreadsheet automation that we were using at the construction company. But then he and one of his sons and one of his good friends that, again, had a mix of construction and software experience, started actually writing and developing the software themselves. So it's definitely grown over time. It started for scheduling purposes as we started having 10, 15 guys running out on different jobs, making sure we knew where they were at, they knew what they needed to do, and had the chance to communicate those updates back to the office so we could, really have a good grasp of our project management.
How long did it take to develop this particular application?
Yeah, we were our own beta testers for a couple years. It's definitely still growing. We're always adding features. So we started developing it, started with scheduling. And then over probably the next 2 years or so, we added some estimating features, some invoicing tools. And then we switched from running the construction company, moved down here to Utah, and switched to the software business full time. Because we knew that there was a really good opportunity and there just wasn't a tool out there for companies just like ours. And so we're still adding new features, but we've been live to market full time as a software company for about 3 years, three and a half years probably.
And are there particular folks that are using Projul right now that you can sort of talk about their usage of it and how they use it and what kind of contractor they are?
Yeah, definitely. We've got a whole lot of contractors, different types of specialty contractors, remodelers, some general contractors as well. I'd say some of our most popular, we work with a lot of like new construction electrical companies, bathroom and kitchen remodelers, concrete tile guys. Those are definitely some of the main ones that come to mind. But on our website, you can check out, we've got a Who It's For tab. So if you have any questions like, hey, is this for my company? That's a great place to start and check. But really anybody who has projects that aren't 2 years long and aren't 1 hour long, it's kind of for that sweet spot in the middle where we just weren't really able to find anything.
And I'm curious about something. I'm just going to share this tab now. When you talk about a CRM, why is it that you talk about it in terms of it being a CRM? Because customer relationship management is very much of a software term, I would say, and not as familiar, to my knowledge, with construction professionals. Mm-hmm. So can you sort of explain the stance and so therefore how it functions as an application?
Yeah. So yeah, like Stephanie said, CRM means customer relationship management. So there's millions of different kinds of CRMs out there. Ours is definitely a construction focused and construction specific. Like you mentioned in our introduction, Projul helps manage your customer's journey from a new lead, somebody who hits your website, or a referral that you receive, all the way through that final invoice and payment being collected. So it really helps you manage your customer journey, make sure that they're satisfied with their experience because they're dealing with a really professional, really well-organized company themselves. So maybe not in your traditional sense of CRM that you may hear some of your software friends say, if you have any software friends, but definitely designed specifically for construction companies to track their customers, track their projects, and stay organized.
Okay. Well, okay. So let's sort of get into it then. So let's take it from the top of the use. I mean, because you are sort of talking as a sales lead, and certainly that's a strong forte of my own in terms of business development. So how, just sort of talk about how do you intake customers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Typically construction companies, they get leads from all over the place. Again, from our experience as a contractor, a lot of our work was referral based or repeat customers. So we did a lot of work for property management companies, we did somebody's kitchen backsplash and now we're doing their bathroom, or we're doing their neighbor's bathroom down the road, because we got a lot of referrals. So one of the main ways is tracking those leads that come in. It could be a referral from a neighbor, or it could be a customer who mentioned when you finished up their kitchen that they wanted their bathroom done as well. So tracking and creating those leads is one, but we also have a contact form that can go on companies' websites. So if a customer hits that site, they can fill in their information, which is pretty common now in construction websites that I see, is they have a contact form.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about Projul's is it's integrated right with your system. So you fill out that form, it drops it right into your lead management pipeline. And so you can eliminate a lot of the dual entry that's required, or things that get buried in the email.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So as far as your audience is concerned, you would say that you did mention who, in a general way, but is there a way to customize things for a particular trade that takes into, perhaps their nomenclature, perhaps how it is that they, speak to their own clients?
Yeah, definitely. We've got lots of flexibility in the system. We've got like project templates that can be created, so unique to your company and your trade. But we also have a really cool like tagging system for projects. So if you're looking for a specific, again, using the example of tile where we came from, a tile design that you want to tag a certain project as, when I'm going to sell that same type of tile design to another company, I'm able to quickly filter and find pictures for that. I'm able to find previous estimates for that. So it can be really customizable and tailored to like your specific industry and your specific company's workflow.
And what do you find, who do you find of all the different trades that you are appealing to? You mentioned electrical. Is there any particular reason that electrical seems to be, something that's attracted to you, or is it really just sort of one company knows about you and they tell somebody else in the industry kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely a mix of both. I think electrical contractors, as an example, tile contractors is another example, concrete guys, they've got that kind of project duration where they could be on the job site for 3 days, and then the plumber's going to come in, and then they're going to be on the job site 3 days later after that. Schedules are always shifting and adjusting. I think some of the project management tools that are unique to Projul allow for really quick updates to be made to schedules. So really a lot of flexibility, as opposed to maybe a home builder software where they're blocking out 2 months for a specific task or a kind of phase of the project. It allows you to get pretty detailed, but have that flexibility to make changes and adjustments.
So can you talk a little bit about the specifics of the project tools per se? I mean, what do they entail? And just so the audience knows, we are going to be providing you with a link to a demo, a small little video that we've done that basically encapsulates what exactly Projul's doing. So we don't want to leave our audience without the visuals. But, we're just trying to change things up a little bit and see, how discussion goes first. And then, as I always believe, people don't always make live streams, although they register for them. So we'll have collateral that Nick and I are working on now that will be sent out after the fact, which is now going to be standard for intelligent construction opportunities, just for those that may be repeat listeners in our audience today.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I really want to sort of get into, like, from the project perspective, like there's all kinds of challenges with scheduling. We all know that. They overlap, or materials don't come for one trade and then it puts them behind, and then, you know, the neat and tidy schedule, it can't be adhered to in some way, shape, or form. So how is it that Projul is designed that allows it to change that schedule on the fly and make it more receptive for people that are affected and impacted by the changes in the schedule?
Sure. Maybe we can work backwards a little bit and start with those guys out in the field. Do you have that image, one of the screenshots that I sent you, Stephanie, of like the mobile app, a task that a worker in the field would see? Perfect. Yeah, that one. So this is kind of an example, a screenshot I took from the app of what a task would look like for the end user. So your actual installer out in the field. From here, you can see you've got the task name, you've got the project address, the time of when you need to be on the job site, and then any notes and instructions that are passed down from the office out to the field. And it'll give you a spot as an end user to upload photos, make comments on this, and kind of channel all your communications. This was a big kind of thing, issue that we faced with just project management and communication. Was we used WhatsApp and text messages and emails to send all of our updates and photos back to the office. And then as an office admin, you're getting 30 text messages from 20 different projects, and you're trying to figure out what task goes with what project, what photo goes with what aspect of the job. And so Projul kind of automates that and like channels and organizes this to the specific project that's been assigned to you as an end user. To touch on the point we just mentioned, though, schedules change and adjust. My perfect happy path timeline is never going to be what I want it to be. So on the project management and the admin side of things, I've got basically a timeline of all these different tasks that I'm looking at. So this is a site prep and demo, but I'm going to have one for framing and one for electrical, and maybe I have 10 different tasks for this deck build that we're doing here. I've got a way to slide my whole job schedule. So instead of having to reschedule each individual task, like we were doing on our whiteboard, erase, rewrite, or a Google Calendar where we're editing every single event that's created, I can choose from this demo day, I'm going to slide my whole job out a week. And it's going to automatically adjust my calendar and then notify my team out in the field that there's been a scheduling change made. So they're kept in the loop again without me having to jump back on the phone or back onto WhatsApp with everybody and send 10 more messages.
So you've got you sent me things that your team communications is a highlight. That's the overall mobile view. Now, as far as mobile view is concerned, obviously this has a desktop version as well. That's important, but I mean the idea is if it was built by construction professionals for construction professionals, obviously the app has to be very robust because, as we all know, things are idealized, I'll say, in the office, but they're realized in the field. So this is a really core part of Projul, and I'm sure the choices that were made to keep this interface so clean and so obvious in terms of even its little icons at the top. I mean, the camera's obviously what you're going to hit when you want to take, a picture of something in the field that you need to communicate in some way, shape, or form about the condition of whatever you've taken that photo of. This is for editing purposes. Obviously, you're editing any of the task notes or any of the details in this particular interface. And what would be that one, the one with the dots? Can you explain that one a little bit here, Nick?
Yeah, definitely. You'll see that icon a lot through all of Projul. Basically, behind that little 9-dot menu, you're going to have access to all the photos that you have taken, any files that were uploaded. And then if I've got additional permissions like an admin or an estimator, or in other spots in the app, you'll see it. You'll be able to access estimates, change orders, invoices, And you can do that from your phone or from the desktop, but that's kind of like the hub for project management is what I call it. Behind that 9-dot menu has all your project documents.
Okay, and I want to talk a little bit about integrations. So, I mean, obviously, well, it on the face of it, it's an end to end. Okay,
Mhm.
but what integrations, like accounting software, for instance, does Projul work well with?
Yeah, we have a QuickBooks integration, so you keep your accountant and bookkeeper happy without having, again, to dual enter a bunch of information. We used to write our estimates on a spreadsheet and then plug them into QuickBooks, and so we're typing all the information twice. We've got a sync with QuickBooks, so you can sync your estimates, your invoices, your time logs, and keep your accounting end up to date.
What about emails? What about the run of the mill? I'll say tools that we all kind of use peripherally, no matter what our specialization is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be able to. We've got some kind of like communication integrations where we'll be able to communicate with our customers. We've got comment channels built in for them. We're able to email out links to estimates and invoices, change orders, any of those type of documents.
So you play well with Outlook and Gmail, for instance?
That's something that's coming
Okay.
with some additional development. Right now, a lot of it is kind of, again, the goal, build it all into one spot, but we've got some direct email from the system. We also can carry over some email templates that are built in Projul to your email app. And then some more integration functionality with those platforms is something on our roadmap for sure.
And can you talk about what other things may be on that roadmap? Are you familiar enough with the developers to know what's being cooked up behind the scenes?
Yeah, like I mentioned, Projul's always it's like a growing platform, right? We're always adding new features and functionality. Because of that, we have a ton of stuff on our roadmap that I could talk for hours about.
What have you added recently? Let's try and narrow. I mean, that's
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
I don't expect you to, have a catalog of things
Sure.
to recite.
Yeah, one of our biggest additions is another integration actually with a product called OneBuild. And they are an updated live cost database. So when you're estimating, instead of having to check suppliers' websites or make that Home Depot run to figure out what the prices are today, because they're different than they were last week, they provide a live updating cost database that really streamlines the estimating process. So that was probably one of our most recent additions here just in the last couple of weeks. And then our next one that's coming is we've got an integration with a WiseTrack, which is a consumer lending platform. And so that'll be out here in the next couple of weeks, giving the ability for our customers or contractors' customers to pay up front with this consumer lending platform, but break that payment down into monthly payment options.
Oh, I think that sounds very intriguing to me. I'd love for you to come back and actually show us once, it's all been tested and
Mhm.
no more bugs in it, whatever, to actually, give us a demo of that, because I can't tell you how many customers I have that, I mean, ideally they're looking for the panacea and, all the scope from beginning to end with no glitches and everything fits nicely. And there really isn't anything. And obviously in an open market, everybody's designing software, and some of them get pieces really well done and others are just kind of tacking on pieces to keep themselves viable in the construction software space.
Mhm.
So it's really important to know these things and to be able to show these things to our audience who, need. It's a need thing. Yeah, they always say people buy because they want something, and I think perhaps you start with that, but at the end of the day, your needs end up surfacing. At least
Mhm.
that's my experience with my customers. So anyway, I think that's terrific. Can we touch on a little bit about pricing and what's the model look like?
Yeah, we do annual pricing, so an annual subscription. Um, right now, all of our plans include all of our features. So that was one thing that kind of drove us crazy when we were looking for software was, hey, I need to send a change order, so I have to pay for the highest pricing tier of one of our competitors, right? So it's fully featured for all of our pricing tiers. Our pricing is on our website. We're very transparent with it, and it's based on the number of users that you have. So we've got a couple different pricing tiers that will basically fit you in how many employees you have, how many guys you're using the system, time tracking. And that's kind of how we price that out. With all of our subscriptions too comes a really awesome onboarding and training process, I'll call it. So all of our team is here in the office on site. So our customer support, you give us a call, people are here to answer the phone because we get it. We've been in the field. You've got a question that comes up. We're going to jump in and we need an answer right away. So we're going to call support line. Our support team's awesome. And we'll walk through some training and onboarding with you to ease the transition process. And that comes included with all of our subscriptions as well.
So let's get into the onboarding a little bit more. I mean, so a day in the life, somebody, signs on the dotted line. They're happy with your pricing models. They've chosen their path forward with Projul. What does day one look like, and how do you bring in those stakeholders when, as we all know, stakeholders and people change on the jobs, and particularly those that are going to be using the actual app?
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that? Short term, long term?
Yeah, so kind of short term right off the bat is we'll do, we call it our diagnostic and strategy meeting, where you'll meet with one of our customer success reps. And we'll basically identify the areas that we talked about in the sales demo, what you're looking to use the system for and what features are going to be most important for you to learn right away. And then identify the stakeholders in that. So if you have 3 estimators in your company, they're going to need to learn how to do estimating almost right off the bat from day one, versus your end users in the field who are going to need to learn how to maneuver the mobile app. We'll identify those key areas. And then we have lots of training resources, training videos that people can watch at their own convenience, knowledge-based articles people can check out to get you in there and start using the system right away. It is pretty intuitive, and that's how I find people learn the best, is jumping in there and using it. But then at the end of that process, we'll do another Zoom call one-on-one with you or with other people in your company, walking them through, making sure there's no other questions, making sure you guys are seeing a return on the investment that you made. And then long-term, like I mentioned, our support team's awesome, and they're, again, all here in-house. So if you have any question down the road, you want to start using a different part of the app that you haven't before, you bring on some new employees that aren't sure how to use the system, send us an email, give us a call, send us a text message, and our support team will take good care of you and walk you through kind of on the fly if needed, just over a quick phone call.
And this is exactly where Intelligent Construction Opportunities tries to help and enhance and work with, in this case, my partner, Projul, so that when we get to the post-adoption support, we help to make sure that the app is working for not just your current projects, but those down the road, or people you haven't even, started working with yourself in the field. It's really important that we make the learning part and the adoption part as easy as possible, because we know the construction professionals have other work to do beyond what is happening with their phone and the application sitting on it. So, the cleaner we can make that for everybody, the better off. I want to talk a little bit about lean. Are you proponents of lean and other scheduling ideas like TACT? Has Projul touched on any of that, or have any of that on your roadmap?
Yeah, we have a lot of scheduling views that kind of accomplish some of those goals. One thing on that last slide you shared, just a little plug for Stephanie. She does a really good job of making sure that Projul is going to be a good fit for you. And we try and do the same thing. We don't want to cram you into, Stephanie and I have talked a lot about a square peg and a round hole trying to make a software system work. And so, if Stephanie's recommending Projul to you, or we're, I would say pushing hard on on trying to get you to adopt the system. It's because both of us know where you've been, and we know that the solutions in Projul can definitely help. So Stephanie does a great job with that. Just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Thank you for that, Nick. And the most important part, though, is that nobody's buying anything that doesn't work for them, and
Right.
that's why Intelligent Construction Opportunities exists, to stand between the construction professional, whether it's in the HR department or whether it's the operations department or the owner of the contracting company. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your needs need to be protected, because construction is hard and it's getting harder all the time, whether it's supply chain or labor shortage or what have you. There is no way that you need any application any more than you have a useless tool on site you're never using for that particular job. It is the same difference. So thanks for that call out. So yes, so Nick and I will be working closely to make sure that those that are interested in having some sort of a demo or something, that we'll be able to provide it either together or separately, whatever works for you. But we'll be following up to make sure that happens. And I also want to underline one thing, and that means that there's no pressure. Just because you're reviewing something doesn't mean somebody's going to, push you to buy it. There's no pressure tactics here at all. Again, that's why Intelligent Construction Opportunities exist, to somewhat be agnostic in what it is that the need is. If it's hard sometimes to tease out exactly what the problems are with the particular construction professional and what they're trying to solve for. But we won't know what to solve for unless you share. So it truly is a two-way street, and trust has to be built over time. I think as we're going to come to a close here, Nick, I just want to be able to ask you, what are the 3 apps that you really depend on every day for what you do and that you really like, and why do you like them?
As far as from what I use day to day as a software company,
or I don't know, maybe it's your Chick-fil-A app.
Right, no kidding. We need to get some rewards points or something built into Projul, because that's what keeps me coming back to Chick-fil-A.
We do.
I obviously have every fast food app known to mankind. Chick-fil-A and Jersey Mike's are probably my two favorites. I use pretty every day to communicate with my team here. We use Slack, a product called Slack, if you're familiar with that, where you can create.
No, maybe you can tell people what Slack is. It's not as well known in construction circles.
Yeah, and it's a similar idea to what we have building in our system, where those communications are channeled by project. We've got those similar projects we're working on at Projul, different channels. I've got a marketing team chat and a sales team chat that we all talk through and share ideas, because communication, just like in construction, is important in every company you work at. So that's one that I use a lot. It's a team communication tool. And then I'm trying to think what else I use every day. I do a lot of marketing stuff. And so I use a product called Figma for designing social media posts and different web page creatives and any advertisements like that.
Would you recommend Figma for another general contractor?
If you have somebody who's got some little graphic design skills, I think they have a free version as well. So if you're putting out a post on your social media and you want, a collage put together with a nice background or something, you could definitely use Figma for something like that. That's what I usually use it for that. So if you've got a social media admin who's wanting to do something a little bit unique, not just your Instagram canned creative ideas or post ideas, Figma would be a good tool for that.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Well, I think we're going to end with a little commercial I did for myself for Intelligent Construction Opportunities. I want to thank Nick for his contribution, but as I believe, live streams are the first way to kick off helping people to understand more about specific applications. And we'll be following up with our special collateral. And for those that had joined us last week, we will be having that collateral come out by the beginning of this weekend. So that's sort of the cadence we're looking at. So keep an eye for that. I communicate well, I feel, with people that register and take the time and seem to have the interest. It's just one more, tool in your pocket to understand, is it for you? Is it not? Is there a colleague that could use it? Is there some other part of the project that you feel, could benefit from Projul, and maybe it's not yourself? But I live and die by, you don't know what you don't know. And that's, again, why we do these live streams. So again, Nick, I want to thank you very much. And I'm just going to quickly close out with my little commercial, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks, everybody.